Back there, no low stirring on the phone, making that car, stay on that business, Josh over there, studying, for the battle, you know what I mean?
Got a battle coming up.
Here for the Thanksgiving, got sis over there, eating good, Got my bro back over there, taking it back Thanksgiving, Got little bro, got to get the whole family on the cruise or something, get the whole family together, get on the cruise, get them out the country, There we go, sis, alright, roll over there, kick it, taking some footage, Teddy right there, right there, kicking it, number one. Get that car running, break some records, got sights over there, got Mom Dukes over there, he stay on the business too, he stay on that got big sis over here, got sis over here.
Remove my intercooler, so I'm gonna trim off my brackets just a little bit. I want to raise it up a little higher in order to keep that lower lip on my bumper cover. So I still have room to raise the intercooler coil up and still maintain a little extra clearance. So now I'm gonna start trimming away, see how high I can get it without making contact to the grill. About to wrap it up for the night. I did some changes. I mounted the intercooler on the inside of my bumper support brace. I have one side partially bolted up, so I have to do some trim work. As you can see right in here, notch that out a little bit for intercooler piping. I'm gonna have to trim a little bit on the passenger side as well, not much. And this front center lip, as I stated before, that's going to come off, so there's no need for that. I'll trim it. That does give some support for the front bumper, actually, which is good, the bumper cover, and it gives that support right across the middle, so that way it doesn't flex. So I probably will leave a little bit of it there, or definitely notch out the top lip here, the lower lip, and then make some big holes in it, so that way we can get a little extra airflow and don't block off too much for the intercooler. Whole big purpose of this big thing is to cool any type of hot discharge there from that turbocharger while we're making some serious power. So we don't want to restrict this by blocking it off by like a 4 or 5 inch piece of plastic going across the front. So I'll notch this out pretty good. That way we get some airflow, as well as still having our support for the front bumper. That way you don't have to worry about it flexing and possibly cracking in the middle. And there's not much that I have to trim off on the top, because you can see there's a gap right here. Just trim off the corner a little bit on each side, and if this is fitting good, that means my grill snaps on the front of that. That means I'll have that extra clearance for the grill. So we just need to go in just a little bit, little gap over here on passenger side, but once I trim that out, I'll be able to get it closer to the car. So we're making some progress with getting this big boy mounted behind here. And another thing that I do like is I have a little bit of a gap, which is good. I have a 1/2 inch gap between, actually 1/2 inch to 3/4, at least a 1/2 inch. So we're talking close to 3/4 at the most, but around 1/2 inch clearance from my condenser, which is good. So we're not directly butted up against that. You don't have to worry about too much heat soak jumping off that. At least there's a gap between it. It allows some air circulation. So we're making some progress. I'll take the bumper cover back off just so we can see how I changed up the bracing. And with the front cover off, I wanted to get these brackets on the inside, which is good right here. So the intercooler mounting bracket is now behind the front bumper support bracket, which is good. I wanted to get that back as much as I could, still give extra clearance from the cover, and as well as have a gap between that. So took a little extra modification, and as well as I used spacers, a 1/4-inch spacer plate behind my bumper cover, which you can probably barely see back there. Yep, that top and bottom spacers. Let's get over here, better look. Right there. So spacers, and that pushed out just a little bit and gave me a little extra clearance, which I wanted. So let's wrap this up. Go get some dinner. We've had some crazy weather this weekend. Yesterday it rained all day long and rained like hell. And you can see my cart is full of water. And it snowed today. We had 1 inch of snow. So everything this morning was covered completely with snow. Which is crazy. So to say this Baltimore weather is no joke, it definitely isn't. I'm gonna try to get back to working on my project / my brother's TT, and the objective was to get this front bumper cover mounted, and that's the objective anyway, was and is. So we'll see if we can come out here today in this cold weather, finish trimming out the bumper. I have to trim out some pieces. I have a notch right there where I have to cut like a little small U for clearance for here for the intercooler core, and let's see if we can get this done. Be more weather is no joke. That's why my brother moved to Vegas. It's 41 degrees outside, and with the wind chill they said it feels like 33, and that is correct. Cold is understated. So I'm trimming away parts of the front bumper cover to get this mounted, and we're getting closer and closer. So I have to notch out this top corner a little bit beneath. I can take out that lip below on both sides, as well as here with the grill mounts right there on these 2 corners. So I'll notch those corners out and slowly keep pushing it in to see how close we can get. On the passenger side, we're like 2 inches away. So let's keep cutting, trimming, and notching and see how far we can go. And yes, it's cold. You can see the remainder of the snow left on this car. We had 1.5 inches of snow this morning. So I'm glad most of it melted out. It warmed up to 45 degrees today. That was enough to melt most of the snow. But now the temperature is dropping, and the rest of the snow is not going anywhere. Neither am I. We are getting there. We're about 90%. Just have to trim a little bit more. So for example, when I run my piping, I'll have to trim right in this area right here, and as well as on this side. But for the most part, we're just about in position. I didn't run the screws tight. I just slid the bumper in position. As you can see right here, nothing's been screwed in tight. So if I draw it in tight and mount everything up, we'll be in there. So we're looking pretty good. A small little couple corners and I'll be satisfied. So technically I did not want to start fabricating my piping from my throttle body and my turbocharger, because I wanted to make sure that my bumper cover could fit first. I had to literally move the intercooler core up another inch just to clear this bottom lip right here on the car. So now it's totally even with the bottom part of my bumper cover right there. If I left it before, I would have been hanging down about an inch right here, and that is not good. So we're up, we're level, as well as I still just made it. I have enough room to run my transmission cooler right in between here, which is great. So we're getting there. Now, hopefully this week, I can finally start focusing on my plumbing for the turbocharger. But as I stated, had to get the bumper cover fitted first. This is not a race car yet. It's still a street car. So we wanted all the factory components to kind of mount and bolt up in position because, of course, my brother still want all the creature comforts of having AC as well as a 3.6 liter that can potentially put out 1,300 plus wheel horsepower. So let's see if we can accomplish this task. We are looking good, looking good. So we're 95% there. I did a test fit on the car. These two tabs right here that's sticking out was making contact with the intercooler. As you can see, this bevels around and the nose of the car tapers over. So this lower section is a little further away from the intercooler than the top section. But this corner right here on both sides are making contact. So I'm gonna trim these out and do a fit. And then later on, once we go to the final completion, then I'll go ahead and finalize it by taking out a section up here and we'll be good to go. That way we'll get good airflow and we don't have a good 3.5, 4-inch section blocking airflow from the intercooler. This turned out pretty good. I just have to snap the grill in position, but I trimmed up this front bumper cover and it fit. We have this big monster treadstone 17 rated at 1700 horsepower core stuffed behind the nose of a tight-fitting Audi TT with a skunkwork ultra cinema feet plenum, all this stuff stuffed in here. Garrett turbo rated at 1450 horsepower. Wow, this is amazing. To get all of this stuff fitted within this shell it's amazing. So I'm happy to see it. I'm humble, but now I can start fabricating the plumbing. Once I finish that, start wiring up this Motec and let's get with it. Let's make some horsepower with this big boy. My brother bought thousands and thousands of dollars worth of parts and said, hey bro, can you make it fit? 1700 horsepower treadstone intercooler rated at 1700 horsepower, a huge Garrett turbo rated at 1450, straight gate, cinema feed, skunk ultra plenum. It fit. He said, can you do it? My words was, I'll try. And it's in there. This weekend, I wanted to start on the plumbing for the intercooler, but something most important was making sure that the bumper cover could fit. So I started doing some test fitment and I had to end up moving my intercooler up about an inch. You can see where my hole was at down here, and I moved it up maybe an inch, inch and a half. And that way that gave me clearance to clear this bottom section, and the intercooler is now even with the bottom part of the bumper. If we put a splitter on there, that'd be nice. That'd give it a little extra protection as well as a skid plate. But that was my objective, to at least get this up higher and to get some good clearance. I also repositioned the intercooler, which was extremely time consuming. I initially had the intercooler bolted on the outside of the bumper support brackets, and to get it a lot tighter and to fit behind the front grille and everything, I had to mount it behind, as well as heat up, bend out my piping, my plating, to gain a little extra clearance from the condenser. I put some spacers behind my bumper support. You can see the little spacers over here in the corner, and that allowed me to get a 5/8 inch clearance from my intercooler core, which is good. You can stick your finger down in between there, so we're not making direct contact, which is great. that gives me that extra clearance. I had to kind of tilt this side out just a little bit because it is part of the condenser. So we got a 1/2 inch over here, 5/8 inch over this side, and it fit. This was definitely a little tedious and challenging, and today I spent the time notching out my bumper cover so we can see everything fits nice and neat. All I have to do is draw my screws up tight. You can see my screws are still very loose. Once I pull these in tight, that would just seat my cover up nice and tight. We can also have the little extra room to kind of run the piping in and around for our inlet pipe for the throttle body. So it was a lot of notching. Everything fits pretty good for the most part. All it is just a matter of snapping in the grill. And just for a quick reference, I just laid the grill in position, which looks good. So it's just snapped in position, and we're in there. So it was a lot of cutting and notching, but this monster Treadstone intercooler is mounted behind the nose of this Audi TT. Now, some people may be asking, why do I have this bracket extending up over the intercooler? That was done intentionally. So, like some cars have an upper strut mount that runs from strut tower to strut tower with a turnbuckle in the middle where you can adjust it to preload it. I am going to put a cross member across this front section right here, and I'll have a turnbuckle in the center where we can preload this, so that way that'll take away a lot of the stress. Just in case the car does any type of flexing, it'll put most of that stress and allow a lot of it to go through the upper turnbuckle and take away the pressure from the intercooler itself. So this intercooler is pretty heavy duty and big. It's robust for the most part and plated pretty nice, but at the same time we don't want to put any unnecessary stress on it. And with a strut brace going across the front of the top part of the intercooler, that'll give us additional support. Packing up my tools for the night. This car is starting to look like a car again with the front bumper cover on here. So now, next step, we can finally start fabricating the plumbing for my turbo to the intercooler, and from the intercooler back to the throttle body. You can still see the snow on the car. It is freezing out here. It is actually 30 degrees, freezing cold, but we out here getting it done, determined.